In today's video, I'll be showing you how to connect Clay to N8N. In order for me to deserve a like from you by the end of this video, I'm going to aim to cover the following two things. The first thing is, how do you actually get data from Clay into N8N? And secondly, I'll cover how to get the data from N8N into Clay, because obviously it's a two-way connection that we're trying to establish here. So without further ado, you can also get these instructions down below. It will be the top link in the description under the video. But in the meantime, I'm going to walk you through the steps that you need to take in order to get data from Clay into N8N. So the first step of this is for you to sign up for an N8N account. I assume you have an N8N account already. In that case, just head over to your overview page and click on Create Workflow in the top right-hand corner. And over here, all you would need to do is just click on Add First Step and then type in Webhook. As soon as you have the webhook options on the right-hand side, it should be the first link over here where it says webhook starts the workflow when a webhook is called. So click on that. And over here, you don't really need to do anything. The only thing you really need to do is just remember this webhook link, click on it, and then take it into Clay with you. So just remember that webhook link for the time being. Inside of Clay, bearing in mind, just as a quick reminder, we're trying to move this data from Clay into N8N. I assume you already should have all of the data right in front of you that you want to transfer into N8N. So for the purpose of that, just click on Actions in the top right-hand corner, type in HTTP API, and terms and conditions apply. It's only available on the $349 plan or above, so it's not on the starter plan. In that case, just select HTTP API, click on Configure in the top right-hand corner, and then the only thing you really need to do is just copy and paste that endpoint, and the endpoint is the webhook URL that we just got from N8N in the first place. So essentially, let's just recap the steps. You went to N8N, you selected the webhook node. After that, you remember that webhook, you copied and pasted it into Clay. Over here, you've got the endpoint sorted, and now it's just a matter of transferring the data columns and suggesting which columns you want to map and transfer from Clay into N8N. So for the purpose of this, I've created a JSON structure over here. And if you're not technical and you're not familiar with JSON, don't worry about it. It's just basically these fancy curly brackets, which just help to transfer the data from one platform to another. In this case, for the time being, I just copied and pasted the JSON structure. And I'll explain in a second how you can hijack this and how you could do this super, super fast as well. But essentially, the only thing I'm going to do now is, instead of that first name at the top, so now that it says first name, I know that I need to transfer the first name from this table, for instance. So all I'm going to do is, just like with any other mapping, select the backslash, select first name, and then I should be good to go. So then now I can just click on Save and run 11 rows. And then in order to make sure that this is actually live, I'm going to click on List for Test Events, Listen for Test Events, and then let me just close this really quickly. And then right now we got an error, and the error reads, the requested webhook is not registered. And then after that, if you make this mistake as well, by the way, throughout you following this tutorial, it's because we forgot to click the execute workflow button. And don't worry, because that's the only way we learn in this case. So I'm just going to click on execute workflow on the left-hand side. And then now I'm going to just go back over here and click on run again. And in this case, we should now be seeing a status code 200 message, hopefully. So let's give it a second. Status code 200 means that the data has been transferred. And essentially, as soon as you're inside of your N8N account, you should be able to go into executions in the middle of the screen. If you double click into that, you should be able to see all the data that was transferred so far. So in this case, you could see that the only data point that was transferred over here has been just the first name, which is Bethany, right? And you could see the data points for all the other people that have been transferred as well. So worth noting that if you're transferring data from more than one column, it's super, super straightforward as well. All you would need to do is just copy and paste this JSON structure as an example. So this JSON structure to pass the fields into ChatGPT and say something like this. Hey, I want to 5 fields from Clay into N8N in a JSON structure. Here is an example, one of these fields, right? And then just copy and paste this random field mapping. And then now you'll just say, generate JSON for 10 column headers, and then you could just give it all the column headers that you want to move from Clay into N8N, and basically based on that, it will generate a prompt all of this JSON for you, and then you just copy this code and you would just copy and paste it over here, and then you could just map the fields where it says first name for the second time. Of course, you're going to now select first name again, and so on. And you just do it with all the fields that you want mapped from Clay into N8N. That way you'll just click on save. There you go. You can send it straight into N8N. Worth noting that it's just a bit of a hustle to set up in the first place. Beyond that, all you need to do is wherever this column is, if you click on edit column, you can save it as a template, and then you can just say something like Clay into N8N send, save it as a template. And next time that you want to do this, just click on actions and then type in Clay to N8N send, and then there you will have this at the top of the options. It will just ask you for the fields, and then you will just give it the first name, apply template, and voila, it just basically sends it. And the only thing you would need to do is just change the endpoint, which is the webhook URL from N8N. Okay, now it's about time that we talk about how to move data from N8N into Clay. So simply put, all we need to do for that is head over into the N8N account, click on create workflow, and towards the very end of the workflow, you basically just need to add the HTTP request step. So it's this HTTP request step, and I'll show you in a second how to get this set up. Because I don't have any data inside of my N8N workflow, I'm just going to build out a workflow super fast. So in this case, you can follow along as well if you're super new to N8N. Let's just pretend that the trigger for this workflow to start will be a form submission. So I'm going to click on form. I'm going to just call this name field and just add just one quick question to this form. So that question will be, what is your name, ? And essentially, if I click on execute step, you would see that basically the trigger of this workflow will be someone filling in their name. So for instance, like say my name is Tesla and I submit this will automatically submit this data as Tesla inside of N8N. So now, by the end of this, we should have this test data that we can play around with, and we can push this data into Clay. So for the purpose of this, let's click on plus. And if you have an existing data inside of N8N, this is exactly what you should be doing. Just type in HTTP, so HTTP. You would see the HTTP request option. In that case, just select the method to be post, and then head over into your Clay account, click on actions, type in webhook, and then Clay will generate your webhook. So over here, we can just click on import and run. And then over here, we have the webhook, which we can copy and paste over here. Worth noting that now that we have some test data, we need to pass across the body. So we would need to send the body text across. And that's the same as you basically just sending the headers, like the actual column headers across. So in this case, I'm just going to give this a name. So this will be like full name of the form submission person, right? And then all we need to do is just drag the answers to that submission form or from whatever data set you have. You just drag it across over here into the value. And now that you have the actual, like the value that you're sending across into Clay, the method that you chose is post, the URL is this, click on execute step. And within just a second or so, you should see that it would say node executed successfully. And if we go into Clay, we can see that over here, this webhook just arrived. And right now, for whatever reason, I don't think it's got any data in it. So if that happens to you as well, don't worry, because you can click on execute workflow again. And in this case, just fill in your name again. So for the purpose of this one, I'll just call myself Elon, right? And click on submit. And then that should trigger the whole flow. You can see workflow executed successfully. And I believe that now at second attempt, you can see the full name of the person has arrived into Clay. And then you can just add it as a column. And your data is inside of Clay, and you've absolutely nailed it. So give yourself a tap on the back, like this video, subscribe to the channel. And if you do want to have this exact guide, which shows you all the steps, step by step, that you need to take. So for example, create a trigger, form submission, find this action, make the HTTP request post, go to Clay and generate a webhook. Like if you want all of this, like literally baby fed to you step by step, so you can just stick this along as you go. All you need to do is just grab the Clay template and the N8N template. It will be the top link in the description down below underneath the video. Consider subscribing to the channel, as I mentioned, like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.